Hello everybody and welcome back to KXP, where we aim to send a Kerbal into the far reaches of the cosmos. In today's episode we're going to focus on two primary missions, the first being to complete the actual testing mission that we failed to complete in the last episode. And in the second one we are going to attempt to achieve orbit. We're going to be starting to move things pretty quickly. I think in this series I'm going to skip over some of the mundane missions, things like setting up a satellite network, just random science missions around the KSC, things like that, because we've spent plenty of time in our previous series focusing on those, and so we're going to kind of take more of a direct approach to the exploration. So if you see me make a little bit of progress in between the episodes, that's just me kind of like completing some contracts around the KSC and doing some science just to get ourselves into a better situation for the fun stuff. So this will probably be the last episode of a mundane. I consider this a little bit mundane, the testing of the engine. Getting to orbit's kind of fun. It's the first time we've done it for this series, so definitely need to include that. But let's first start off with getting a little bit of science spent, a little bit of research and development. I'm going to want to grab this aviation tab, this one and the wings that it leads into, because we are going to be doing some airplane stuff soon, and so having all the parts available to us is going to help out. We're going to look at some of the other stuff as well, because we have plenty of science. Gizmos or gadgets is very interesting because that will give us science. Same with gizmos will give us more battery stuff, and basic science will give us even more science. So it's always a good idea to spend points on tabs that will unlock science for you, because the more science you get, the more tabs you can unlock. So it all helps out in the end. Basic construction would be pretty good. It's got a lot of nice parts that I would like, but I think overall we're just going to spend it on the science. There we go. Most of everything else that we want is going to be too expensive right now, so we're just going to leave that for later. So let's go ahead and load up our plane. This is the same plane that we used in the last one, however slightly different cockpit. As you can see, our Kerbal will be strapped on top, as opposed to safely inside. But Jebediah is a trooper. He doesn't care. He doesn't mind a little wind in his hair. So let's go ahead and get our systems on. And once all the systems are turned on, we're going to go ahead and turn on our engine. We have our brakes on just to kind of hold ourselves still while our engines come up to full speed. We kick on the power, put the throttle up to max, and then let's turn off our brakes and head for takeoff. We are angled slightly to the right, and we are starting to go off the edge of the runway, but not to worry. The plane takes off fairly well, and it just wants to be in the sky, so Jebediah can easily handle that without any disasters. In case you might not remember, the mission for today is to take a small probe, drop it off into the ocean, and run a small test on an engine. And typically, in all of our previous series, we would just strap that aboard a rocket, launch the rocket into the ocean, and do said test. But in this series, we're deciding to make more use of airplanes, and so we have that probe strapped to the back of this plane, and we're going to drop it off once we reach a safe enough altitude and a safe enough distance from the shore. It would be a shame if we dropped this off and it landed on the beach. So once we're above the cloud layer, I feel safe dropping it off, that it'll have plenty of time for the parachute to catch it. There we go, we just dropped it. And this is our little probe. We outfitted it with a little bit better antenna, so so that way, and a second antenna, so that way if we ran into the problem that we had the last time with the antenna ripping off from the aero forces, then we'll have a backup, and hopefully we can actually complete this test. So now we had a secondary mission to fly to 2,500 meters, so we were able to complete that one as well, which is always nice. The airplane missions are going to get harder and harder, so it's good to start off the easy ones early on. But anyways, we are going to land this plane and then switch to our probe to control it. So as long as we can land Jebediah safely, this should be looking pretty good. Flying through the clouds, losing all visibility until we get low enough again. Such a great touch. The volumetric clouds really add a whole new layer to flying your airplane. I played without it for a little bit, trying to fly around, and it just was not the same. Just blue skies as far as the eye can see. Just something about it just takes you out of the immersion. Alright, so we're heading back to the KSC. Lined up pretty well. Should be, you know, we didn't really go too far away. And we swing right on by our probe. Very nice to see. So we're just going to try to line ourselves up with the runway. Coming down pretty low. Probably didn't need to be this low. And our speed leaves a little bit to be desired. I wish we kind of had bled off a little bit more of it before coming through. Coming in low enough that we almost scraped the top of the palm trees. Good thing there's no collision on those. And we kicked our engines off, but not soon enough. And right here I thought I was about to die. I thought Jebediah was done for, but for some reason our plane managed to keep intact and basically kill off all the speed that we had right there with that little bump. I swear I don't have any kind of cheats on or anything. It just happened out that way. Lucked out. Anyways, Jeb is safe and sound. He will be fine. So now we can go ahead and switch control over to the probe. And we still have control. We still have signal. Everything is looking good. So as soon as it touches down safely in the water, we will run our experiment. So once again, it's to test the Spider liquid fuel engine. Splash down in the water. There we go. We turned its thrust all the way down, so it's not going to affect the craft in any way. It's not actually pushing out any propellant. But there we go. That was a mission successful. Sadly, we couldn't do this on the first run, but I think we did a pretty well enough job. Alright, so now it's time to start picking up some more contracts. We only have the availability of taking 2 because we haven't upgraded our mission control yet. But that's definitely going to be on the docket because having access to more missions at once is very useful because you can kind of combine them and get the most amount of efficiency for the least amount of money. I kind of talked through it, but I was circling the airplane contracts, all those airplane contracts. We have quite a few of, so we're going to be handling those and potentially some of them off screen. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take the 2 contracts asking us to orbit Kerbin, and that is going to be our goal. We have a little bit of money, or science, so we're going to spend it on general rocketry. That's going to unlock better engines for us. Stability would be a great node to unlock because of that probe core, the square one, the CubeSat, because currently the only probe core we have access to is the Staputnik, which is good, it's nice, it does what it needs to do, but it is spherical, which means that attaching anything to the top or the sides is a bit of a challenge. And so having that square profile will make a huge difference with designing probes. So we're going to go ahead and take that. So this was what I was working on for my orbiting probe just moments before I decided to go spend some science. So we're going to adjust it a little bit. We're seeing which one has better ISP, better thrust, all that. And I think we're going to go with the Spider engines. So there we go. We go for 4 of them. And of course we're going to just restart because I decided to use the CubeSat instead. There we go. We're going to put a little bit of RCS on here for some control because we don't have access to any kind of reaction wheel yet. Let's put a decoupler there, some solar panels there. We're building this. This doesn't need to complete very much, you know. It just needs to be a satellite in space, in orbit. You know, having science would be cool. It'd be good, but that's science that we can pick up at any other time. This particular rocket doesn't need anything else except for to achieve orbit. So there we go. We got our lower stage. We're going to put some delta fins on there, and then we change their size to be a little bit more reasonable for the rocket size. We're going to have some solid fuel boosters on the sides with parachutes to hopefully recover some of the funds from those stages. I went ahead and did a test flight, and it turned out perfectly. I did want a little more thrust. I felt like just having a little extra power would be good, so I decided to double up those side boosters. But anyways, here we are on the launch pad doing our launch for real, no test flights. And yeah, let's try to see if we can get this thing to orbit. Successfully fully start our space program. So with a healthy thrust to weight ratio of a little over 2.5, we easily take off from the launch pad and start our ascent. And because the wings have control surfaces to them, we can tilt ourselves over even though we don't have any gimbaling on this craft. There's no, the liquid fuel engine that we have has no gimbaling, and the SRBs of course have no gimbaling, but it's because of these tail fins, these winglets, that we are able to control our rocket. Nice little silhouetted shape as we kick off our side boosters. And it's nice to see the parachutes have already deployed, so as long as everything goes well, we should be able to recover whatever funds we have left from those. So now we're going to skip ahead a little bit into the actual reaching of our apoapsis, and then once again to the circularization. And our lower stage burns out. We separate and kick away from it. Now we don't have any reaction wheel on this. We have a little bit of control from the engine, so we can point ourselves towards the horizon that way. And this should have absolutely no problem. We have so much delta V, it's ridiculous. I'm fairly confident that we will be able to maintain and reach and maintain an orbit. Gonna go ahead and extend this antenna before we forget, because we are using remote tech after all, so the moment that this thing passes the horizon and can no longer receive signal from the KSC, it will go dead. No longer have any control over it and won't even be able to extend the antenna, so gotta make sure to do that. That's going to be a big thing in our series going forward. It's been a little bit since we've played with remote tech. We stopped playing with that probably in, I want to say, POV Season 2, maybe? We stopped it whenever we started RP1, so it's been quite a bit. So we got to get used to that again. We got to get used to creating our satellite network. Anyways, I talked straight through it, but we made orbit. Look at that. Easy enough, and we still have plenty of Delta V left in our tanks. So why not just send this probe as far as it can go? Let's just use up all of our fuel and leave Kerbin's sphere of influence. In hindsight, probably would have been better just to crash it into Kerbin, but especially since it has no science on board, there's really no need to leave Kerbin's sphere of influence. But this is KXP. This is all about the spirit of exploration. There's no need to stay locked behind progression, you know? Look at this. We have nothing out here. We should start discovering anything we could as soon as we can. So we're going to just launch this, clear out of the sphere of influence, and just let it orbit the sun. It doesn't have batteries on here. Its antenna is very weak and won't reach practically anything. There's no use of this satellite from this point on. We may as well label it debris. But the Orb Weaver 1 will live on. Maybe we will see it again someday. And hopefully it'll have some stories to tell. Gorgeous world below it. There's something just so soothing about watching a satellite slowly rotate as it heads off in the direction it's going, journeying outwards to the stars. So peaceful. Come to think about it, where are my stars? I think I might have forgotten to add a skybox. Well, we'll fix that for next episode. So we're going to take a quick look at our stage recovery, and as expected, we saved the money and recovered all 4 stages, all 4 side boosters. So very happy with that. Anyways, that is a job well done, so let's head back to the KFC. Let's check out mission control. We have plenty of money, so let's go ahead and just upgrade that right now, as well as the tracking station, because then we can start making maneuver nodes. But also importantly, that now allows us to access the observatory, which is part of the research and development mod, and that is the mod that makes it so we can't see any other celestial body around us. So this is just a place where we can kind of get some information about the celestial bodies we've discovered or yet to discover. We're not going to discover anything until we take the mission for it, so we're going to probably do that soon. It does cost quite a bit of money to do that, so obviously we're going to have to wait. And in the next episode, we'll probably do some stuff with the administration building. We are using Strategia after all, so we should make the most out of that as well. Well, anyways, that's where I'm going to leave today's episode. I'm excited to do some more. Like I mentioned before, I might do some stuff off camera, so the next time you see a KXP episode, there should be something fun going on, hopefully. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're looking forward for more KXP. If you did, please consider giving me a like, drop me a comment, let me know your thoughts, and I will see y'all in the next one. Take care.